Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 4 of our wonderful Healy Solutions series. Tonight's topic is going to be on energy and vitality. And to lead us through this, we have Ken Close, who I think many of you already know from Tech Tip Tuesday or Healy for Beginners and Beyond. So take it away, Ken.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate your introduction. Thank you for hosting this. I mean, you guys have created an amazing spot for people to come in and get some specialty information, right? So tonight, I love this particular topic because energy and vitality, it really is what makes the world go round. Um, Literally everything is made of energy. So, what's that mean? Us, the body, um, the chair you're probably sitting in right now, the clothing you're wearing, everything is made out of energy. And so, if that's the case, then I think energy can be turned up or turned down, right? It can be changed from one form to another. And so where Healy comes in is well, let's look at this question. What is Healy? I like to answer it this way. What not is Healy? It can do so many amazing things. It kind of transcends almost any field in which we are navigating our lives. Things such as pain management, which is created for in certain cases for certain conditions. But it's this compact little design. As you see, I wear it like around my neck. But you've got a clip on the back. You can put it anywhere on your belt, on your pocket, hold it in your hands. Lots of ways to use it, but it's definitely a portable, wearable, personal device that gives you energy, individualized microcurrent frequencies that will accent the things that you want to do in your life. Okay, perfect way of marrying science, and the science that's in this, folks, is incredible. It's a very distinct interface with consciousness and being able to be so unique to you and to your field that it kind of is intuitive, you might say. But you can see on the screen, it's a class 2 cleared FDA device designed for chronic pains, arthritis, muscle soreness, things like that. It's very, very unique in the way that it interfaces with your particular resonance and then picking very specific frequencies to address the things that you need. The program groups are unique, very diverse, and can again pull multiple frequencies from the resource pool, assess the needs of you individually, and then apply a very specific grouping of those frequencies. Next slide. Let's see what's up. Our topic for tonight is energy and vitality. When it comes to energy, maybe some of you have heard that these bodies carry a tremendous amount of energy, and everything in our planet, everything in existence, essentially, is made up of atoms, right? The very smallest of small, including every cell in your body, made up of atoms, right? And these atoms have other components to them called protons and neutrons and electrons, right? These are all forms of charge, positive, negative, neutral, all making up this amazing atomic structure. And guess what? Every piece of you is this within this atomic structure. And the cool thing about energy is it really never ever goes away. It just kind of maybe transforms, right, from one form to another. And the significant way of seeing one form of energy from another is its oscillation or its vibrational state or frequency, as we call it. And so we can kind of take a look at various cell structures in your body and identify them or interface with them based on their frequency, because we know at the atomic level, right, they have an oscillation rate. They have what we would call a signature. That's pretty incredible, I believe. But it also requires a certain amount of power. The human body, just think about this for a second. The human body can produce easily 100 watts of energy just sitting at rest. How many of you have light bulbs in your house, right? And you may have a 100-watt light bulb or say a 60-watt light bulb. Which one's brighter, right? That 100-watt light bulb is really bright, very vibrant. You can see very well in the room. So pretty cool, right? So the body just at rest produces that much energy. And then you start moving around, doing things, being a little physical, a little active, easily jumps that number up to 300 to 400 watts of energy. Now, let's say you're an athlete or really tuning these bodies up. These bodies can produce easily over 2,000 watts of energy. It's pretty incredible, right? So let's think about this energy and vitality where they kind of intermingle. When we build energy that is coherent, in other words, that means it's like-minded. I liken it to an example of, let's say that you're at a football game or a basketball game or a baseball game, and you're on the winning side, and you just happen to come in a really grumpy mood, right? And you're on the winning side. How long can you stay grumpy on that high energy, high vitality, happy side of the fence, right? Not very long, to be honest with you. Really not very long. You start to become coherent with the energy around you. So similar way that Healy kind of interfaces with you to build this synergistic amplification. So so next slide. Let's take a look at what else we're going. Here's our vitality. When we talk about vitality, what exactly is vitality? We talked about energy, and within each cell, we have energy within the cell that is measured in voltage. And then that kind of builds a coherent body when that cell membrane voltage is high and really functioning at a very high rate. But that whole thing creates what we call vitality. That's the state of being. It's basically, it is a balance that we find or don't find because we've got some conditions that maybe we're trying to navigate through. So vitality is this state of being. And you know, I think you know, when you're in it and when you're not. And this is where the various programs that Healy has available for us interfaces with the body and gives us more coherence. Let's look at it this way for a second. So we have the ability to send microcurrent into the body, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. Microcurrent into the body through the wristbands and the wires and electrodes. We also have the ability to send a magnetic signal out into our field, our proximity, through the coil. And both of those send out information that our body decodes and reads. And it builds a partnership with these signals, aka frequency. And depending on the program we're using, and by the way, there are a couple of different just energy programs within the Healy that you can use to kind of charge up or build up that coherent signal within your body. And that coherence, in the laws of physics, we call that constructive interference, kind of like a wave on a pond, right? A small pebble drops into the pond, creates a wave. You drop another pebble that's exactly timed perfectly, you actually amplify that wave, building coherence. The pond now has a state of being, a state of a waveform cruising across the surface. Same thing in the ocean. You can have coherent waveforms that start to build and build and build and gets all the way up to, say, a tidal wave, right? And this is how we send this information into our bodies through Healy. There are frequencies that, if we look deep into what a frequency is, it is literally a wave. So building these connections between how the energy and the vitality kind of streamline together, there's a natural rhythm. As I mentioned, these frequencies that are transmitted from Healy, they will create a coherent signal with whatever the purpose of the program is. We have, I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 programs today, specifically designed to fuel the body in a way, or I should say amplify the body and create very specific signals. So if we are plugging along through our lives and we're having some sort of physical difficulties, we can do an analysis within the Healy system and find out what kind of frequencies or programs, I should say, are going to give us the best interaction to raise our signal back up. So these are ways of becoming coherent with whatever we're trying to, whatever state of being we're trying to be. Let's take a look at the next slide. The different ways in which Healy kind of interacts with us, there is a bioenergetic rebalancing. And if we kind of dig into what bioenergetic is, this is essentially an information field local to you. As we're utilizing the systems that Healy has created, we're running, say, the microcurrent into our bodies. It's speaking to us on a biological form within the systems and the cells, however, in an energetic form. Every cell in our body has a cell membrane voltage. It has properties of energy to it. And so when we send these signals into the body, we can increase their bioenergetic vitality. The various well-being programs or the various well-being pages that we have develop synergistic feeling within the body, and we start to build some kind of a way of being, a lifestyle, right? The category around fatigue is, I think, is one of the most powerful ones that I use primarily to balance the body back from, say, stress response, aka sympathetic state, into rest response, which is the parasympathetic state. And there's a very distinct page, the program group. I like the sleep program group because one of those programs on there, bed rest, tends to move our body out of that stress response and into a rest response. It's pretty important when we're trying to recover from our day, recover from some kind of exercise routine, recover from an illness, or perhaps even some kind of a repair, surgical procedure we've had. We've got to give the body rest. And so there's very specific programs aligned for working with fatigue. Regeneration is another amazing category where there is an entire program group. I love the bioenergetic vitalization page. Very useful when it comes to rebuilding these bodies. A ton of great content around emotional issues. The well-being page as the body, mind, and spirit, where we can really get into a balance, into an alignment. So next page. We talked about, I mentioned earlier a little bit about microcurrent. And if we go back in time quite a ways, microcurrent has been around since literally, honestly, about the 1700s. But it got really popular somewhere around the 70s. A lot of research went into how microcurrent would interface with your body. And Healy uses a very small amount, which is, we would call that milliamps. It's a very small amount of current output from the device to go in and speak to your body within an electron flow. Remember earlier I talked about a little bit about how the atomic structure of our bodies. We've got a flow of energy that runs through our body, and we can interface with that. And the interesting thing about microcurrent, it's been around, like I said, since the 1700s, and it was used by a Swedish professor to treat a locksmith who had a paralysis in his arm. And so he used these treatments experimentally on this person to actually help to heal the arm. Today, we're using that, and studies have shown that it increases ATP production by a huge amount. I mean, there's tons of studies out there and specifics. Increase in ATP production, increase in amino acid transport, increase in protein synthesis. All of this is a way of building a more vitality into the cells of your body. Okay, triggering very specific conditions in our body that make you feel good, even including neurotransmitters and these things that help our mind, or I should say our awareness, feel like we're kind of in a good mood. We're having a great day, right? So very useful in the research side of Healy is the microcurrent. That's why you may see me in some of these presentations where I've got the wristbands on, the wire electrodes, a very high amplitude of influence into the body to change some of these biological effects. Next slide. So I don't know if we got the testimonial. Is that video going to play? Let's see.
I honestly wish I had all day to tell you all the ways in which the Healy has supported my overall energy and vitality. But the biggest thing is I got really, really sick now 4 years ago. And a year and a half after getting sick is when I got my Healy. And the cool thing about what the Healy provided for me is this deeply centered sense of self where I could actually feel the healing process begin versus just kind of wondering or like knowing I'm doing all the things and I'm making all these good choices but you know, am I actually still experiencing healing? And with the Healy, I know that I did, and I know that I am, and it continues to be the thing that's like in my pocket daily for how I manage my stress and overall well-being.
You're on mute, Ken.
There we go. Don't mute yourself because then you need permission to unmute. So I love that testimonial because, you know, Healy speaks to each person a bit differently. I've heard many times where folks have started to use their Healy and they feel when I say feel, some kind of a sensation in the body. Otherwise, some folks have talked about how they experience some sort of peace or ease within their mind. So there's not really one particular way in which Healy is going to work with every human body because as Marcus Schmika, this is the developer. Marcus Schmika is an amazing gentleman, creator and founder of Healy. And he shows a lot of studies around this information field and then the way that the Healy interfaces at different levels within the bioenergetic field, the electromagnetic body, as well as the molecular body. So we're going to probably experience it in various ways. And I don't think there's really a wrong or a right way. It's just when you start to feel more healthy, more alive, more energetic, that is a win for everybody, right? So next slide. So Healy creates, we have a lifestyle. This is really an important connection. There's an entire community of products and systems, and a whole community around how we can create more synergy within our lives. Consistency is an extremely important topic to talk about, because if let's just say, for example, if we do one push-up a year, we may see some changes over the lifetime of our bodies, but really, if we did one push-up every day, we're going to see a higher amplitude of change. So consistency is extremely important. I work with athletes and in the performance side of the world, and there's always a training protocol. There's always a goal on the table, and then a consistent protocol or regiment to get us there. So the Healy, you can easily use it 1 to 2 sessions a day, multiple times with the coil. There are some parameters around how much to use it with the microcurrent. A couple of programs a day in that regard. Versatility is another way when we are using different ways of applying the Healy frequencies to our body, the coil, the electrodes with the microcurrent, or even the mag Healy. Those are various ways, and we can synergistically use them together or in various times of the day. One of the most important things when using this technology is a proper self-care protocol of some sort. I have a very specific self-care protocol that incorporates 5 different things. All right. So number 1 is hydration. It's extremely important that we are keeping a high level of hydration in the body. Why? Because current flow through the body, right? Information being transmitted through either the magnetic signals of the Healy coil or the microcurrent from the electrodes and the wristbands goes through water, goes through our minerals of our body. And with improper hydration, we're going to have a lot of resistance. It's going to be really tough for the signals to get through the body. So very important. A good hydration protocol is about half your body weight in ounces of water every day. Pretty simple, something to remember. So, a 100-pound person, that's 50 ounces in a day. Spread out through your entire waking day. Don't try to get it all in at 5 p.m. because then your evening may be disrupted. The second one is it's very important for some sort of movement, right? Intentional movement. So as you see on the screen, like stretching, walking, yoga, running. And here's a fun one, folks. Rolling around in the grass. You ever thought about that? I mean, kids do it all the time, right? They're rolling around the grass. It's super fun. Well, guess what? You're compressing the body to move fluids within the body, engaging the lymphatic system. Again, that's what the movements are all about. Big, huge muscular movements. Yoga is a great one. Walking, running, that kind of thing. A breathing regimen, some sort of breathing where you're intentionally taking full, complete breaths, expanding the lungs in a slow manner, and then contracting and releasing the breath again in a slow and even manner. Doing that several times, 5 to 10 reps of just that changes your autonomic nervous system, moves you into rest and digest, shifts your what's called vagal tone, right? So very important. I also have time in nature, grounding your body, getting out and outside, being within nature, appreciation for the environment. Of course, nourishing yourself, good raw materials. The body needs these raw materials so that Healy can help with that rebuild process. Mindfulness, again, back to meditation and breath work, that they go hand in hand. And the last one, I want to add a 5th category on here, and that's find a reason to fall in love with life. The number one thing that happens to folks who retire and become sedentary is there's no passion for life anymore. And suddenly that body just starts to decay at a very quick rate. So My advice is the fifth category here is to find a reason to fall in love with life. It doesn't have to be very big. Just love being outside, love riding your bike. Find some reason to fall in love with life. Next slide. So this is, again, a wrap up around the empowering yourself through these frequencies. Giving this nourishment as you would water and food to your body throughout your day. It's really, really important to stay consistent, to make sure that we are energizing our bodies. We're remaining within a centered bandwidth of our minds, down regulating chaos and disorder, worry and concern, and up regulating wonder and the curiosity around life. All right, next slide. Of course, what happens when you start feeling better in your world, in your life? You naturally want to share that with the people you love, your family, your friends. If you've ever been to an amazing movie or an incredible restaurant, the first thing you do is talk about it to everybody. So similar, once you have an experience, share it. Share it. It is incredible. People are looking for permission to feel better, and they may not know what you know. So for sure, share what you've learned and get that experience out to others. So here's a great way to experience it for yourself, and then again, share it with other people. There's some pretty cool special offers available today. You can go to the Healy shop and take a look. You don't even have to be a member. Refer back to the person who invited you to this presentation or how you got the link to see it in the first place. And then ask them, how do I get mine? Where do I start? It's a pretty simple way to start. There's some incredible specials going on, so take advantage of that today. Next slide. I think that's it. Yes?
Okay, that's it for us tonight. Great presentation, Ken. Thank you so much. Find a reason to fall in love with life. That's just excellent advice. And I hope you all enjoyed this very much. I will have the recording for this up tomorrow. So for all of your friends and family who couldn't make it, no worries. It will be up on YouTube shortly. I will send it out via newsletter. And we will post it, of course, on our US and Canada social media accounts and WhatsApp groups. So keep an eye out for that. And join us for our next Healy Solutions series on Tuesday, September 16th. We're not quite sure what we're going to do for a topic yet. That's going to be a surprise, as will your guest host. But it'll be a great session, as it always is. So everyone have a good night, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.